Women Innovators. Interviews with women with big messages and big missions, sharing their stories to inspire you to live your passion and step up to make the world a better place. Here's your host, Tami Patzer.
Hi, everyone. This is Tami Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Karen Meade. Karen is a professional organizer with a strong focus on move, meaning moving from one place to another, management, and personal organizing. And everyone, we've actually been having quite an enjoyable conversation before I pushed the record button, because Karen has a very interesting background, and I'm going to let her tell you more about it. But for now, let's just say we're going to be talking about going from chaos to calm and how Karen Meade can help you do that. So Karen, welcome.
Oh, Tami, thank you so much for having me today. I'm thrilled to be here.
In our pre-conversation, you were telling me a little bit about you. So let's go ahead and share with the audience a little bit more about your background and how you actually ended up being in this organizing field.
Sure, I'm happy to share that. So I frequently have wondered, why is it that I enjoy this line of work? What is it about, what feeds me to do this line of work? Because for a lot of people, Tami, going through mounds of paperwork and things all over the floor on the closet sounds absolutely atrocious to them. And instead it feeds me and just fires me up. And I know that makes me really strange. So I do give a lot of thought to why do I enjoy this work so much? And honestly, at my heart, my true nature and nurture both of myself are I'm a helper and a teacher. So helping people take the chaos in their home and bring some calm into their home by going through their physical spaces definitely is helpful for people. Also, I'm teaching them how to do these things for themselves so that hopefully they're able to maintain it once we've taken care of organizing an actual physical space in their home. So because I love to help and I love to teach, really the area of professional organizing really feeds both of those for me, as well as giving back to others who want to just be living their best life in their space, whether it's 800 square feet. I've worked in a home that was over 6,000 square feet. I've also worked in a home that was close to 15,000 square feet. So no matter the size of the home, everybody, Tami, just has a lot of stuff.
When I'm listening to you, because I was thinking sometimes having smaller space is actually better than having lots of space, because I actually have a lot of space, and I notice that all that does is mean I just spread it out a little bit more. But this concept of organization and clutter, it stirs me up, because when I was a little girl, I remember my mom would say, clean up your room. And I'd go in there and I would start, and it was exhausting. And I would look at something and then I'd go, and I'd spend for everything I picked up, it would take me a while, to make a decision. Should I throw it away? Should I keep it? Is this a memory? And all of these different things. And so my mom used to get frustrated with me. And I would come home from school and my whole room would be cleaned up because she would do it.
Wow.
And so then, you get to the point where it's like, you don't know where anything is because other people put it away. So it's very intriguing to me when you say that you actually help people you help them get organized, and then you teach them how to maintain that. So do you mind sharing with our audience maybe 2 or 3 tips about some really little simple thing that could just relieve all this pressure off of someone?
Absolutely, Tammy. You hit on a couple of very important points when you were describing about your childhood in your bedroom with your mother. So the reason that people of all ages, from children to adults, don't really know how to attack taking control of their space again is because no one has ever really sat down to give it a name and assign it a process. And when people say clean your room, clean the closet, clean the playroom or the home office, cleaning is different. Cleaning is getting out a dust rag and a Swiffer and maybe some Windex and some Pledge. But organizing a room is completely different. And if people can find, and I will share that today right now, there's a very simple 3-step process that anybody, including a child, can follow. So in your mind right now, if you can visualize your junk drawer, okay, if you've got a junk drawer, everyone's got one, whether it's the kitchen, the home office, it doesn't matter. The first thing you do in any space, from a junk drawer to a garage, is you sort like items. So in that junk drawer, we've got things such as pens, rubber bands, paper clips, Scotch tape, a stapler, maybe some old receipts, maybe an old Band-Aid that no one's used and it just sits in there forever. So if people can go into that junk drawer and just start sorting like items, that's the first thing to do, and it's very simple. One of these things goes here, and the next pile of paper clips goes here, and all the pens go in another pile, and so on. Once those things are sorted, which is step 1, step 2 is the tagline I use called pare it down. Look at those paper clips. Are they bent? Are they broken? Do you have too many? Do all the pens work? Do we have stapler and no staples? What are we going to pare down? Do we need all those old crumpled up receipts and expired coupons? We don't. So if people can pare down after they've sorted, now you already have so much less left to actually return to the drawer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the third step then, after we have sorted like items and we've pared down, the third step, we call it the fine tuning. That's the fun part. That's where maybe you've got some organizing tubs or organizing bins or containers or something that you can reuse in your own home. We fit those into the junk drawer, and now we give the remaining items a home. So pens and pencils can live in a smaller container. Paper clips, push pins, staples, and stapler can be together in another container. So now what was once a hodgepodge of office supplies and crumpled up receipts and expired coupons, within 15, 20 minutes, we've got an organized drawer where things are like items are kept together. Everyone in the household can find exactly what they need. And Tammy, the best part is they also know where it goes when it's time to put it back.
Wow, that's a really big secret right there. And you said something in the beginning about clean your room is a lot different than organizing, because I'm a good cleaner.
Right.
When you said that, I was like, well, that I'm really good at cleaning. I mean, I can get my Windex out and I can make that mirror shine and I can do all the cleaning, but the organization part, it still looks like a big mess, even though it's a clean mess. So that does make a lot of sense to me. So I love that it's, my daughter said it once. She said, everything should have a home. And you said that just now. And I know my daughter seems to be able to organize things. And I remember when she did her dissertation, she had all of her notes like on multicolored note cards and kept them in envelopes. So she had this whole system to put all this information together. And you're talking about doing the same thing, except with odds and ends of things. Because as I'm chuckling through this whole time, because I'm visualizing and go, okay, in that drawer, there's a whole bunch of odds and ends, and they're not similar.
Right.
So of course, if they're not similar and you open a drawer, you're never going to find anything, because there's no logic to it, and you can't remember where you put things because they don't have any connection. And I think, is that part of it too? Part of how you teach people, like, how do you remember where you put things, because it's that you can kind of like match things up?
Yes, that's a very good point you just made. So let's go back to that junk drawer quickly in our minds. There probably are some items in everyone's junk drawer that really don't even belong in the junk drawer. So let's just, say maybe one of you have a young son or a daughter, and they've got either some Barbie shoes in that junk drawer, or a Matchbox car, or ponytail holders, or whatever we can envision. We pull those out while we're doing our sort. And we put that in a separate pile called Find a New Home. So we have a little plastic tub that's by us while we're sorting like items. And everything that we know should not go back in that junk drawer, goes in that little bin called Find a New Home. It needs to be returned to the person's respective bedroom or their closet or the playroom, but it doesn't go in the junk drawer. So when people are trying to find things and also trying to put them back, if only the items that belong there live there, that helps automatically. And also, Tami, a good key for knowing where to return things is using a good old trusty label maker, which is one of my favorite tools to use. In fact, I have 3 label makers.
The old-fashioned ones, they were that piece of plastic, and you'd crunch it, and then you could make little. I had one, and I would label everything. I mean, I had a fish tank, and it said fish tank because I just loved playing with that label maker. But that makes a lot of sense, and I wanted to ask you more, because obviously we could have a great time just talking about how to get organized, but I wanted to get a little deeper and ask you more, because there's a lot of like, why do we have so much trouble with stuff? I mean, there are some people, like I look at some people and I say, oh my goodness, their home is a show place. And I look at mine and it's like, I don't think I want anybody to come over, that most of the time. But I also remember I have memories when I was married, and my husband was, let's just say, a little bit OCD, and he didn't like anything out. And so we had a junk room, and he didn't like the way I folded the towels. I mean, all of these things. And so every time I see perfect, I immediately go back to these experiences of having somebody who like tortured me because I wasn't perfect. And so I imagine that has something to do with my inability now to keep things as organized as I'd like because of some psychological thing. Is that what you found?
Wow, Tami, you're right. That is deep. And the answer to your question is yes, I do find that. And honestly, back to what we said a little bit in the beginning, how I got into this, when your life feels out of control, for whatever reason, you find a way to feel in control. And for myself as a young child, when I felt like things were out of control in my home growing up, I could control my environment by taking care of my things. That's all I could do as a young child. Now I work with adults mainly women. I have worked with plenty of middle school and high school children as well, because learning how to stay organized and be a good time manager is something that young people are extremely capable of learning. And a long time ago, I was a third grade teacher. And I did teach those life skills to my third graders, because then they become young adults and adults who now have some systems and processes in place to take care of their home and their belongings as they age. So that is a very good point that you just made. The deep part of it is so different for so many people. Some people want to hang on to things because of pure sentiment. It is usually a wonderful memory of a beloved person who may not be in their life anymore, who possibly has passed away. So hanging on to those items from them reminds them of them. However, if we saved everything that everyone we love and loved has given us, we would constantly need to be moving to larger homes, because it would all just be too much. So the best thing about memories is if we have them and we have items, then they're not doing us any good boxed up in an attic or a garage or a storage unit that people are renting all the time. Those memories need to be kept out somewhere in your home so that you can appreciate them. But if there are too many, one of the best solutions for that is taking a photo of a grouping or a collection, or of yourself holding up your mother or father's favorite musician or the favorite albums that they had, and take a picture of it so that we don't have to hang on to every single item. It's the picture that's now the memory and not the stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I can think of, exactly that, different songs or albums. I mean, I even hauled my mom's stereo, which was one of those big wooden cabinet ones back in the day. I hauled that around the country for a while until I finally gave it up because of the memory. And I think that's really interesting. So I really like the idea that you said it when you said that you would teach the children how to have systems, because it's really obvious to me that I never got that training. And I can think of, wow, if I had had just that basic training of organizing versus cleaning, for example, that I could have, it would have been a very different situation, and I wouldn't have some of the hang-on issues that I have. I wanted to ask you, you said, of course, you work with children and adults, and you also specialize in, I guess, smooth moves. Tell me a little bit more about how you do work with people.
Sure, I'm happy to share that with you. As we all know, moving it is one of the top 5 stressors in somebody's life. Moving it can just be very decimating to people, and it's a temporary thing. But when you are in the midst of getting started to move or in the middle of a move, you can rarely see the end of this move. They're just monumental tasks that need to occur to get from one environment to a new environment. So what my team and I do is we take someone's move, a residential move usually. We've done commercial moves as well, but they tend to be residential. And we start breaking it down. People need all types of help at many different places in a move. So I have clients who call and they say, Karen, we're going to be listing our house in 2 weeks. What do I need to do? So I come over and I do something called the pull and pack. I take my roll of painter's tape. I walk room to room with the homeowner, and I put a piece of painter's tape, blue painter's tape, on every item in a room that I know needs to come out because it's too cluttered. It won't show well when the photographer is there to take photos for the MLS listing. And too much clutter is a definite turnoff to a potential home buyer. So when we do the pull and pack, I walk room to room, I mark everything that we're going to pull, and then we start packing it. So by the time that person, that client, has their home listed on the market, we may have packed 20 to 30 boxes of just clutter, from the kitchen countertops to the dresser tops to closets. Everyone's got stuff on their closet floor. Well, who wants to walk through a house you're thinking about buying if it's so cluttered? So we help before they list it, and then everything in between, Tammy, from hiring the movers, overseeing moving day, and walking the new house with the client before anything gets moved into it, so that I know exactly in which bedroom, where the head of the bed is going to go, where the chest of drawers is going to go. And I take my handy pack of Post-its and I'll put head of bed on the south wall, chest of drawers on the east wall. And so when I'm there on moving day, those movers have no questions to ask anybody, because I've gone through and labeled it all and they know exactly where to put everything. So that's a huge time saver. Those movers are by the hour. So let's get them in and out. And then the real beautiful part of what we do, the creme de la creme, our sparkling service, is our unpacking services. We have unpacked 5,000 square feet in 3 days. Every box broken down, the packing paper bagged up, the boxes neatly stored in a garage, and a fully functioning kitchen, bathrooms, closets, playrooms if there are children. And that family had 3 down days where we were unpacking and organizing and labeling everything. And now they are up and ready to enjoy their brand new, beautiful home. So the unpacking service is a real gift that clients can give themselves to just start joining life again as soon as possible.
Wow, I really like that. And that really is a service. I mean, in the highest sense of the word, because packing and unpacking, and just like you said, to just have somebody go through and help you to know what is perceived as clutter. Because a lot of people, I don't think, realize what is clutter, because to them it may be, that maybe it's their quilting hobby and they have all their fabric and, that whole room is just stuffed full of stuff. But I can see having that objective eye would be really useful. And then even I love the part about having somebody who could actually help you declutter, but teach you how to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, that's like phenomenal. And then I really love the part about teaching children how to have systems and formulas to do that, because what a gift that would be to give a child that ability to have systems in place, because that is a lifetime gift. So that's really phenomenal. So if somebody wanted to work with you, what would be the best way for them to connect?
Well, thank you. So definitely through email. That is a really great way. Karen@KarenMeade.com. And that's KarenMeade. Also, my website is KarenMeade.com. So that's easy. I'm a really good communicator. I've got an active Facebook page as well. That's Karen Meade and Let's Get Organizing. I've kind of merged my old company name, which was Let's Get Organizing, now with Karen Meade. And then I'm on Instagram at Karen Meade Organizer, as well as Twitter. So I'm very easy to find. I love engaging with people through social media. I post a lot of photos, before and afters. I'm really good on giving out tips, because I really think that the best way for people to learn is through education. So if I'm able to teach people very simple systems, why would I not share that? Living in a place that's full of physical clutter is absolutely known to put a lot of mental clutter on a person as well. And Tammy, I will tell you, I've now worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients. I've been in business for 12 years. And I can tell you, sometimes when I walk into a client's home for the very first time, their head is hanging a little bit down. Their eyes don't always quite look me in the eye with great eye contact. They're embarrassed. They're ashamed. They're afraid of being judged. And everybody thinks they have the worst clutter than everybody else. But by the end of a session or 2 or 3 sessions, I will tell you those clients are holding their heads up much higher, and they are looking me in the eye, and they are smiling, and they appear mentally so much lighter. And the room or rooms that we've worked in together are definitely physically lighter. It's just the overall best feeling for both them and for myself.
Wow, that's really phenomenal, because I do know whenever my son and I will clean the house and we'll both go, ooh, it feels so much better because of the energy. That's the first thing we will say, is how it feels like that. It's almost like the house is thanking you for doing all of this. I wanted to ask you about a project that you're involved in. Actually, before I ask you about that, I wanted to ask you about, I noticed in the notes that you've actually been on television sharing your tips and everything. And I was wondering if you're planning on writing a book anytime soon, because it just seems like everything you've shared with me would really be a great story to help people. So are you planning on coming up with any books so that people can get more of your goodness?
Tami, I am going to author books. It is something that has been really a dream of mine for a very long time, because I do enjoy learning myself and I like helping. Again, I'm a teacher at heart. So yes, I have a few books. I've started a few right now. I'm working on them a little simultaneously to kind of see where and how they may meld together. Everything from talking about organizing tips and strategies so that people can do these things on their own, but also sharing some real stories that I've come across in my own life before I started my business, helping family members who have gone through traumas and crisis. You know, when there's a trauma or a crisis, people do one of 2 things. They fire up and they're ready, or they are shutting down because it's overwhelming. And when you grow up with a little bit of crisis and trauma, it's what you know. So I am on during that time, and I would like to help others who feel stuck, overwhelmed, and really unsure of how to start. That I feel like that's my mission, is to help them learn how to start so that they can just feel better. So I do have a couple of books that I am definitely working on currently. So thank you. Thank you for asking.
Well, that's really super. And I do know that you're part of Tam Luc's BossUp program also. And I wanted to know why you were attracted to the BossUp system that she's put together. I believe she's doing some podcast interviews, and also you'll end up with a chapter in a book with that BossUp, right?
That is correct. Yes. I have followed Tam Luc on social media now for quite a while. I would say, well over a year, a couple of years. And I admire her. She's got great tenacity. She's got a great attitude. She's very generous in helping others with giving her advice. And talk about someone who's great at teaching strategies and systems. She constantly says, you've got to write that book. Get that book out, Karen. You've got Chaos to Calm already going. Let's go. So she's really great at encouraging and helping us along the way to author our stories. So I'm thrilled to be a part of BossUp with her as well. And yes, I think I have recorded my podcast with her. And now thankfully I'm here with you, which has been lovely. And then I'll be anxious to see the chapter in the book.
Well, that's really phenomenal. So I really enjoyed this conversation because it's almost like, you know, how you don't really know, but then somebody says something and it kind of just reminds you of something, because it you know, obviously I shared some of my personal clutter stories because of that, but it really is an emotional connection that we have to this cleaning or organizing or having things. So I just want to remind everybody, it's KarenMeade.com, and that's KarenMeade.com. And you can go find out all about Karen. And again, in the show notes, I will go find some of the clips from the TV shows that you've been on, so people can watch some of those news shows that you've been on and share that. Before I let you go, is there anything that you'd like to add?
I'm going to ask you a question, and your listeners can do the same, and you don't even have to share it, but I will leave you with this. So when I am first talking to a new client on the phone, I ask them if they are a concealer or a revealer, and they don't know. So then I say, okay, think about your kitchen countertop, think about your desk, think about your bathroom counter. And if most of your belongings, most of your things, let's say in your bathroom, from your lotions and potions to your moisturizers and your makeup, if most of it is on the counter, you're a revealer. If most of it is put away in drawers and in cabinets, you're a concealer. So that tells me a lot about a person's personality just by the way they answer that question, or when I see it for myself in their home. I don't want people to organize how I organize. I organize people how they need to be organized to be able to function. So I don't take a revealer who puts everything out there and make them a concealer. Let's be a revealer. Let's be who we are. But let's get some of those great inexpensive organizing products that are out there now everywhere on the market. And let's organize what you have on your countertop so that it looks pretty and you don't feel like it's cluttered. Now it just looks pretty. So, Tami, that's for you to think about, whether you're a concealer or a revealer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you know what? I think I'm a concealer, to be honest with you. But I think that if I had pretty things, that I would be more of a revealer.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
But if it isn't organized, it might as well not be out, because that way you don't have to deal with it. But I can also say that if it's not visible, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I really need things that I use all the time to be visible, because there it is. So I don't know what that says, but I'm sure that we could have a whole nother interview. So thank you so much, Karen. I really appreciate the time that you took to share today. And everyone, make sure you go to KarenMeade.com and ask yourself that question. Are you a concealer or are you a revealer? And reach out to Karen, and I'm sure she can help you no matter where you are. You can talk to Karen because of the magic of the internet, and we have all these great tools like Zoom, for example, where you can have one-on-one conversations and get organizing. That makes a lot of sense to me. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tami. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You too. Everyone, go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to Women Innovators with Tami Patzer. To learn more, please go to womeninnovatorsradio.com. And please do subscribe and share to spread the big messages and big missions to change the world.